The question of whether humans have free will has been chewed over by philosophers and theologians for millennia without any clear conclusion or even any agreed-on articulation of the question. Scientists have typically shied away from it to focus on more tractable problems, but recent advances and discoveries, in neuroscience in particular, are changing that. We are learning more and more details of how patterns of brain activity control behavior, how animals, including humans, make decisions, and how neural circuits accumulate evidence, weigh alternatives, signal value and salience and confidence, and instigate actions. But as that decision-making machinery is being revealed, it seems harder and harder to escape the paradoxical conclusion that we really are just machines. Decisions are clearly being made, but where do we fit into the picture? Indeed, it is fashionable among neuroscientists to declare free will is an illusion. Not only do we not have it, but also there is no way that we could. We can watch the machine running, we can get in there and tweak it in animals and even in humans to drive decisions and actions. What space does this leave for the mind? There seems to be no need and no room for mental causation of any kind. Who cares what the neural patterns mean when the ions are going to flow where they're going to flow? Philosophers like Daniel Dennett defend the contrary view, that organisms do in fact do things for reasons, which are instantiated in the configurations of their neural or biochemical circuitry. However, Dennett maintains that determinism still holds, that no real choice exists, that you could not at any given moment have done otherwise. This compatibilist view of free will is widespread among philosophers and scientists, but it cannot explain how free will, or indeed any form of real agency, can possibly exist in a deterministic universe. Instead, compatibilists argue that, even though humans actually have no choice, we can treat people as if they do, because what goes on in their brains is so complicated as to be completely unpredictable in practice. We can mount a good enough simulation of free will to form the basis for our system of moral responsibility, even if it is fundamentally illusory. I do not think that either the strictly determinist or the compatibilist position is satisfactory. Both say free will is an illusion to some extent. At an even deeper level, physicists like Brian Greene and Stephen Hawking assert that the workings of our brains are as determined as the orbits of the planets. The laws of physics dictate the interactions of all the particles in our brains as in any other piece of matter. Even if real randomness exists, it is merely one more physical, though uncaused, cause playing out in the system. Such a view is the ultimate expression of reductionism, the philosophy that has tacitly held sway in biology for centuries. The implication of reductionism is that biology is not really a science unto itself, but is just complicated chemistry, and chemistry is just complicated physics, and psychology is just complicated neuroscience. Causation only flows up from the interactions at the lowest levels of the system. If we keep digging deeper and deeper, we will reveal the true workings of life. Indeed, we will not only explain life, we will explain it away. We will show that living things differ from non-living things only in being more complicated. For me, that idea is not just wrong, it's wrong-headed. A purely reductionist, mechanistic approach to life completely misses the point. On the contrary, basic laws of physics that deal only with energy and matter and fundamental forces cannot explain what life is or its defining property. Living organisms do things, for reasons, as causal agents in their own right. They are driven not by energy but by information, and the meaning of that information is embodied in the structure of the system itself, based on its history. In short, there are fundamentally distinct types of causation at play in living organisms by virtue of their organization. My goal in this book is to explore how living things come to have this ability to choose, to autonomously control their own behavior, to act as causes in the world. The key to this effort, in my view, is to take an evolutionary perspective. If we want to understand how choice and free will could exist in a physical universe, let's look at the details of how they actually came to exist.